Hello, and welcome to Girls, Gays, Animes, where it is safe to love what you love and love who you love. I am here with my co-hosts, T and DokiDokiBunBun, and I, of course, am Valsaraptor. Today, we are here to talk about Uzumaki, the anime, and also the manga, because, quite frankly, one of those things has to not be disappointing. Or is that too spoilery for the content for today? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but maybe it's just me.
Know that we can spoil this at this point. I think everyone knows. I think the world knows.
It's so sad. I don't even know where to begin. So, Doki, you weren't here last time when T and I did our episode 1 reaction, and I was like, whoo, yes, this. I am here for this. I am excited for this anime. Finally, Junji Ito gets an adaptation that he deserves. I feel like I ate every single, word that I said. Every praise that I gave. Every, Did I curse? Did I curse him?
You did it. It's your fault. Put all your angry comments in the comments.
Nar.
You are the spiral curse.
You are the spiral. Yeah, it was unfortunate for me as well. I also ended up eating my words. My fiance has 0 experience with Junji Ito, and this was how I introduced him. So we watched the first episode, and then I was like, yeah, see, this is amazing. And I did not get on Reddit. I did not hear anything. And so I found out from you lovely ladies what I was in for. And I didn't give him maybe as much of a warning as I should have. I just said, ooh, it gets rough. And so that was his first experience, was all of Uzumaki. That's all his Junji Ito experience. And he's like, why do people read it?
Sad. No.
Yeah.
T, were you able to read any, or were you focusing on Tomi?
I didn't get to read anything because October was a hot wreck. In a good way. I had a very busy October. I was able to watch anime at least, but I did not read much in October.
That's fair.
That is fair.
But it's sad in the way that, I hope that you still read the manga.
Oh, yeah, I definitely plan to read it because I want to compare, from my experience and what I saw, it had bad animation moments, which I'm sure we'll go into more detail later, but I know it's a series of short stories, but there were times where the anime, I'm specifically talking about the anime, felt really disjointed and kind of confusing. I understood what was happening, obviously. I knew the plot and everything, but it was just, jumping around a lot, and I was getting confused. And then at the very end, the post-credits scene of the last episode, spoiler alert, they show the town basically resetting and starting the whole curse over again. And I was confused because it literally looked like the time frame in which the first town was in. So let's say it was in the 90s. It looked like the 90s again. And I was just confused, why does it look like I'm literally back in this town when the curse started, but there's been no time change?
Because it's
that's
a spiral.
What I was confused. Oh yeah, I guess.
The spiral curse,
obviously.
I think that's a good point, though. I actually, maybe unpopular opinion, I'm less mad about the animation and more mad about the pacing. The pacing is what made me mad.
I assumed that's what I would be mad about going into this. I assumed I was willing to overlook the pacing when I saw how well the first episode was produced. And I was like, you know what? I'm fine. Upon further reflection, it's you can't. It was one or the other. Unfortunately, both was not going to work for me.
Yeah. Well, no, that's fair though, because so I didn't notice, when I watched the first episode, you are so caught up in the animation of it and the look of it that it's way easier to ignore, maybe not the most emotion acting, which I would say is kind of up for debate anyways, because I would argue Junji Ito's work isn't necessarily about the characters, it's about the world that they're living in. So that's kind of up for debate
Agreed.
regardless. But it's much easier to look past wonky pacing when you're so caught up in something so visually stimulating and upsetting.
Absolutely.
Because one thing that I felt like also dropped off was, visuals dropped off, but so did the horror of it. I mean, in the first episode, spoilers, we literally see a woman cut her own fingertips off. And then later on, she's like, oh, I gotta get the spiral in my ear. I'm gonna do it. And then they're like, okay, cut the scene. And I'm like, well, you can badly draw her cut her ear. like, can I get bad visuals of this? Because if I'm gonna, I want to at least maybe laugh at it or something, you know? Like, give me something. But, like, even, like, the risk dropped down.
Especially with that scene, they could have at least shown... because in the actual scene, it just cuts to her son talking to her doctor, and you hear her screaming. You don't actually see it. I feel like they could have even just shown her, like, doing the movement, and then, like, if you don't want to show it exactly, just show the wall and show, like, blood squirting on the wall. Like, keep me in that moment. And they completely took us out of it.
I agree, but you can't say show someone slice their own fingertips off.
Yeah.
And then not show any more graphic... Because that's the whole thing.
A tone was set and they didn't stick with it.
Yeah. Body horror is that's what we all came for.
It's so interesting because, like, I remember talking to T about the first episode and how, like, at the fingertip moment, she was like, oop, I'm scared. And I was like, in my mind, I imagined the scene with the eardrum, and I prepared because I was like, hey, if that was like spooky to you, I really hope I hope this isn't something that they cut out. I hope they still talk about the ear canal. And so when the scene popped up, mind you, I watched this while, like, cooking and assembling furniture. And honestly, it made it more enjoyable because I wasn't noticing, like, them running in place and mouth flapping as much. But when that scene came up, I was like, all right, I gotta tune in because I gotta know exactly how they handle this. Because one, I hyped it up for T based on the manga and stuff. But two, just because, again, they set a precedence when they showed her cutting her fingertips off. Right? Yeah. And then it was just like the change scene and then a large lull where he's talking to the doctor and then a delayed scream afterwards. And I was like, any tension that was set is gone now. Also, and then they didn't show anything. Yeah. And I was just like...
I specifically remembered you saying something was going to happen, so, like, I was prepared, you know. But I had I was listening to the English version at the time. I switched between the two somehow. Like, the recording that I had all of a sudden went from Japanese to English in the next episode. I was like, all right, whatever.
Do I
and then it went back to Japanese
speak
again.
Japanese?
No, but I was watching that episode. I was watching in English, and I was texting someone, so I had my phone up, but I, like, had it up by the screen so I could see what was happening. And I was like, "Oh, is this a hide behind my phone scenario?" So I had my phone ready. I was like, ugh. And then it didn't happen, and I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe I missed something." But then it just kept going, and
it didn't.
I was sad. I wanted to be involved.
They turned this show, it went from one of the spookiest things I've genuinely ever watched, genuinely unsettling, I was creeped out, to one of the best drinking games I've ever played. That's what it turned into.
So how did you make it into a drinking game?
Oh, it's really easy. You take a drink every time someone screams. You're already wasted at that point.
Yeah, for real.
Every time there's a spiral on screen. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
No, I think I said something. There was, like, one for, like, slug slime was another one. That's still, I think, from ignoring the first episode, second episode on, the most upsetting moment to me. And normally I love a good BL love story, but the slug makeout session horrified me.
Honestly, though, same, but, like, I'm like, all right, well, at least there's something that is unsettling.
Yes, I'm glad I was unsettled, but I didn't love going from that to, like, look at all these babies, and I was like, oh, this isn't what I meant when I said I wanted a good BL romance.
That to speak to the material the material would have carried the show, even if the animation were mediocre. Because what we're talking about is not mediocre animation; it is poor production. Like there is, there's no sugarcoating it. If it had even been mediocre, I think that the content would have carried it because at its core it is unsettling. Yeah. At that point, though, like we said earlier, I'm gonna want 6 minimum to 8 episodes. Over the 4. Because that really allows you to get into the unsettling nature of, like, what's actually happening, why it's happening, the reactions, the, like, grossness of it.
It has to be slowed down. It was too fast.
Especially, like I said, I was getting lost sometimes. Like, when her family moved into the row house.
Houses.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
It got really fast when they started bringing up the row house stuff. It got really fast.
That was out of nowhere.
That was, because, I mean, there was the fire with the kiln, but unless I looked away long enough, it was like, all right, there's a fire in our kiln, and now we're in a row house, and we talked to a realtor, and now we're in this row house. I'm like, wait, what? Did the kiln catch the house on fire? Did I miss that?
So there was a very brief shot where you see the fire go up a tree next to a house, and I guess that was it.
Oh, I must have blinked during that, too.
Yeah,
I saw it going up the tree, but I guess maybe I blinked when it went near the house, you know? And then the neighbor, creepy guy who was like, oh yeah, I used the same realtor as you, and I was like, what happened? Why are we in a row house on the beach? I don't know why
that was relevant.
I love using a realtor to get an abandoned row house.
So that part's also frustrating because, like, a lot of the inspiration for this manga, which led to the anime, for Junji Ito was, like, from his childhood growing up in a row house. Yeah. And so the fact that, like, again, like, they sped into it, there was a lack of explanation. Aside from, again, them completely butchering the production of this, like, the story, like, was not given the justice it deserved either.
Agreed. Very much agreed. I almost wish for production they had done it backwards. Like, I obviously mid would have been best, but, like, what if it had been really poor the first 3, and then the 4th episode was just, like, gorgeous?
If I can just make it to the last episode, to the best animation I've ever seen in my life, then maybe it'll be worth it.
It was for artistic purposes. They were trying to tell me something, obviously. Yeah.
You know what? I'd have bought into that. Like, I'm so into Junji Ito that I've been like, yeah, the production started really bad and it got progressively better because of the story.
It's the spiral effect.
It's bringing you in. I mean, like, you're getting sucked in by the better quality.
It's the eye of the storm.
It did spiral. It just spiraled downward. It didn't spiral upward. I do have a question since you guys read the manga. Why did that Eye of the Storm, why was it so obsessed with Kiri and then it just spat her back out like everything was fine?
Good question.
It was like stalking her, sucked her up, her and Suichi, and then just spat them out on the beach and then it was done. I was like, what was the point then? I thought she was gonna die and then nothing happened.
I don't know the answer. I'm sure Reddit does.
I'm sure. Well, that's, like, it's another thing, too, where it's, like, at so many different points in this, like, the spiral becomes obsessed with, like, the main female lead, like, with the hair thing and everything else, and then it, like, moves on. And so I don't know if there's some, like, lore behind them being, like, more stronger-willed because they're aware of what's happening.
I think that's the implication. At least that's my interpretation. And I think that's the big thing, is that a lot of this is very interpretation-based, because, like, we kind of talked about before, Junji Ito is he's very world-focused. He's not always protagonist-focused, which is something I personally really like. But I think that's kind of the vibe, because they do make a comment at one point, and I don't remember exactly what the wording is, but essentially it's saying that, like, she's so, like, impervious to all of this, and she's just like, what is wrong with all of y'all the whole time? Yeah. That the curse is just trying so hard to, like, sink its teeth into her any different way it can, and it just continues to not work. So I think the implication is more that, like, it sucked her up and, you know, was like, this'll get her. I've cursed her for real this time. And then she falls and it's like, dang it. I'll try a different way.
That's
Old
true.
again.
It didn't really like get her until the very end where she's like, I'm too tired to care.
And then it's, did it get her? Did she choose it?
Yeah, that's true.
Nah, she
So-
just needed a nap.
So, and this is another like maybe callback to the first episode reaction that T and I did, but I think the only thing that maybe we benefited from the poor animation quality and thus viewers backing out of watching the other 3 episodes was that Reddit, I was on the page and they were all like gassing up how cute the main character was and like how she responded, like, yeah, and so they're like, oh, she's so like precious and innocent and sweet, and like I was like, is this gonna get weird? Like, are people gonna make this weird? So I think because the animation quality was so bad, I think we saved ourselves from a bunch of creeps
just
like
thought she was
sexualizing
best.
this girl.
Maybe they just thought she was best girl. You're just living trauma from a recent
con,
panel we
yeah.
did. Yeah.
Wee woo, wee
A
woo.
lot of wee woos in the audience.
Yeah.
Which not loved. I have a hard time with that. I mean, she's, I guess, adorable in like a best girl
Yeah.
kind of way, but she doesn't, there's not much going
But it was like
on there.
the way that they had like teed it up, and the reason I thought it was creepy is because they were like hyper analyzing like her like innocent facial reactions to
Ew.
like an obliviousness to like what was going on, and I was
She
like,
has a boyfriend.
she's taken, she's not your
taken.
type.
She got boyfriend.
Yeah.
I guess so. We kind of jumped heavy into this, and so for anyone that is like tuned in already in 20 minutes into this podcast episode or wherever you're watching this, I want to kind of give like some backstory, and I don't know how much you two know about it, but like, so yeah, Junji Ito, he put this stellar manga together. It's like he wrote it in the 80s, I think. It was
I
like
think
one of
so.
his like first ones that had come out in like a horror, like a weekly horror release in Japan.
Yep.
And then so 5 years ago is when we first like heard that there was going to be this anime adaptation. And so we've been anticipating this for 5 long years.
It's been
and this is
5 years?
5
Yeah.
years.
Oh
And that's
my
another reason why it's like
gosh.
literally so devastating.
4
Plus,
years went into
yeah.
the first episode.
It really
Yikes.
did.
And this is also after, and Tia brought it up before we started recording, but there was a live action that was done. There was a
Yes.
live action. I'll say there was a live action. I won't say that it was done or that it was. I won't say anything else about it because
It exists.
it exists. A live action exists, and so there is kind of like that piece of it. But the 5 long years we've been waiting. It only got 4 episodes, and I'm reading here basically that the original 16 chapter manga had 650 pages, and they thought, yeah, I can trim that down to 4 30-minute long episodes.
Yeah, it was around 30 if I'm thinking correctly.
Not surprised. This is the first time we've gotten bad animation for Junji Ito. I mean, there was that other one that came out like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That was rough seas.
Yeah, I think, and again, the hype on this one too was that like it was, you rarely see, like you always see like full color. And I
Yeah.
know we joked too about how there was like a color technologist or like a color specialist that like was credited like during at the
Yeah.
end of the episodes, but it's like, no, I could see that like with the shading and how like you're trying to bring this manga to life, like you do want there to be some life to it, even though like it's, you want it to be coming out of the page and not just be a representation of the pages, even though that's eventually
Yeah.
what it became anyway.
For sure.
And so that's kind of the lore behind the anime itself. Now, when we talk about the adaptation being horrible, so have you guys heard like basically the producer for this? It was posted on Adult Swim. They were given the rights, whatever. Are you guys aware of like what the production team and the main producer had like kind of defended themselves on? Like,
Yeah, I
posted on
saw
X about
him.
it.
Yeah, I saw the main person kind of bringing it up and saying that they couldn't say everything, like they weren't allowed to specifically say what went wrong. But it came down to, okay, we can put out one episode that's really good and we can kind of finish the rest of it, or it can all be bad. And I think there was like a third
Yep.
option.
Yeah.
And
It's just
they were like, we just went with like, hey, we've been working on this for 5 years at this point. Let's just get out what we can, which is unfortunate that they felt like they had to do that.
I'll go ahead and I'll read the like excerpts because I've pulled them
Yeah.
up just to make sure that we're getting an accurate representation. So here's the summary. It's, there was a post in a comic book resource interview where they were recounting it, and they said there were some screenshots that were posted online by the main Uzumaki producer, Jason DeMarco. He revealed that Adult Swim was, to put it mildly, screwed over with the Ito anime. In quotes, it says, "It's fine. We knew this would happen. I can't talk about what went down, but we were screwed over." And the options were A, not finish and air nothing and call it a loss. Again, imagine this after 5 years.
Right.
B, just finish and air episode 1 and leave it incomplete, which, like, what the heck?
Horrific.
Or C, run all 4, warts and all. Out of respect for the hard work, we chose C. DeMarco wrote the first of a series of posts, quote, "After waiting so long, it makes sense people would be mad." 5 years again, right? "Unfortunately, I can't tell them who to blame it on, ... But someone is definitely at fault here, and we all just had to do our best when things imploded. Maybe others would have made different choices. We did the best we could with what we had." And so I feel bad for them. So I feel bad for Junji and all this. He's not gone on record. He's not stated anything, but he's also Japan's sweetheart at this point. Well, that and their baseball champion. Yeah, he's precious. So he's not going to say anything. At this point, he's also probably used to it, unfortunately. But then, yeah, to your point, I also feel bad for the production team.
Oh, yeah.
Because they worked on this, like he said, for 5 years. I know I keep saying it, but, like, imagine, like, it's like their child, like it's their baby. They've been working on, like, the amount of effort that you can see that and passion that they put into the first episode. Yeah, it took a while, and I'm sure a lot of it was growing pains because the fact that this is Adult Swim and they're producing it themselves, they're not exactly known for producing anime. I'm sure they got into a rhythm, but whatever happened for them to basically be told, air nothing, air the first episode, or air all 4, like...
Video game effect. This happens pretty frequently in the video game industry. I specifically picture Project Red, which is a Polish company, phenomenal. They're known for The Witcher, which for anyone who remembers when Witcher 3 came out, it had a similar issue, and more recently Cyberpunk had the issue where they made this phenomenal game, and then the people with the money were like, if you don't put this out right now, we're going to pull all our funding. And they're like, it's not ready. And they're like, too bad, put it out. And so, like, you do feel bad because, like, this company ends up getting blamed, but they make phenomenal games. It's not their fault that the person with the purse strings is like, put it out now or bust. Like,
and to your point with Cyberpunk, my husband and I played it when it first came out, and we wanted to give it a chance. We were trying to give it a chance, and we knew what had happened. And then we shelved it. We were like, all right, we'll come back to it later. And then, of course, it was able to improve. It was able to get better. And they were able to put out the product that they want. But there's probably so many people who were just so turned off by that first initial experience. And I feel like the same thing happened with Uzumaki. You have that first episode. It's so good. You watch the second episode. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to touch this anymore. Same thing with the game. Nobody wanted to go back to it, even though it had improved.
Yep, they can't all be Witcher 3. Witcher 3 lucked out in that it improved and people still played it, but that's not the norm in these situations, right?
No.
Like, if the game comes out bad, if the anime comes out bad, people aren't going to stick around and give it the chance. They're going to see that drop in quality. They're going to see all of that, and they're going to be like, well, I hate all of them. It's all their fault. They're going to send a bunch of mean, nasty messages and hate mail, and the people who put all that work in, who had no control over having to release a faulty product, are going to feel like crap about all their work, which is sad.
Especially with how social media is now, like, it's so immediate. The day that the second episode of Uzumaki came out, people were already on the internet trash talking it. So it's like, oh, I haven't seen the first episode. I've heard it's really good. What's your reaction to this one? There's people now who probably would never watch it because they saw others' reactions to the second episode and they missed out on everything.
Yeah. Well, and trash talking not just the show, but the people who put it out there.
That too.
So I found some more info that I hadn't realized, and I'll go ahead and read it to you guys. Following the release of Uzumaki's second episode, some fans wised up to something being amiss on the production side of the show by highlighting the change in producer credits between the two episodes.
I saw that.
I didn't.
I didn't see that. And so then it says, moreover, Eagle-Eyes fans registered that much of Uzumaki's promotional material centered solely on the show's premiere episode, with very few showcasing scenes from the limited series' other 3 episodes. But I did not catch the producer credit changes.
I only saw that because
Spicy.
I brought up the Wikipedia page just so I could, like, say the people's names for once in my life. And I was looking over, and not only are there, it says produced by, and there's 2 different people, there's also 2 different studios credited. And it's for episode 1 and 4 were done by one studio, 2 and 3 were done by a different studio.
It's weird. I mean, I obviously am not an expert on anime or cartoon production, but that seems not normal to me personally.
I could see,
that
like,
seems a miss.
For example, a 12-episode series, like, okay, we got the first 6 episodes with this studio, something happened, let's do the other half. It was 1 and 4 were one studio, and then episodes 2 and 3 were a different studio. So it, like, switched after the first studio, or after the first episode, went through 2 more episodes, and then went back to the first studio.
I almost want to go watch episode 1 and then 4 and then 2 and 3
Yeah.
see, like,
So
see if I notice a difference.
Well, it's funny you say that because, like, I thought that I was just becoming numb to the poor production quality, but I thought watching it that, like, at least the 4th, but if not also the 3rd, weren't as bad as the 2nd. I thought by far the 2nd episode was the worst.
That's just because
It
you
definitely
felt
had
sad
its
saying bye to
standouts.
Snail Brother. Bye, Snail Brother. I called him a slug. I've called him a snail.
No, I mean, for me, the 2nd episode, it was the hair fight.
The hair fight was rough.
That
Yeah.
was absolutely brutal.
That was... I messaged you when I saw it and went,
Well, because I had texted you about it, like...
the hair fight was distressing. And not for good reasons. That's when the drinking began.
Oh my god.
That was the kickoff.
I just want, like, a still. I want to be able to show a still from the hair fight, and then I want to be able to,
that
like...
this is the one that everyone references, but the running on the beach was so
Oh, yeah, that's the one that
obvious.
everyone... Yeah, that was...
No,
oh my god.
I love that you say that because I literally, at the end of that scene, looked at my fiance and went, oh my god, was that water? I didn't realize they were by water. I thought it was all sand. And so I was very confused when they dove into sand. Because I could not tell it was water.
Yeah, they definitely
wonder if I
did a
can
very good
show
job in the
this.
first episode with the water. I mean, it was also just that little canal that was going through the town, but it had the spirals going through the water and everything.
Yeah.
But
wonder if I
with
can
the
share-
ocean and the sand, that was definitely strange.
The
I
first
wonder what would
episode
happen
was
if I
so
tried to share
upsetting.
my... I think I'm going to try to share my screen and, like,
Stay
play...
Try
tuned while Girls Gaze
this.
Animes breaks our computers.
Honestly...
Content.
Oh, that's not bad.
You did it.
Okay. So we're going to replay the beach scene.
No.
Oh, here we go.
The
Look at her. She's,
haunching.
like, floating. They're, like, floating and, like, gliding across the... Is this grass? Is it sand? Who knows?
I didn't know what was happening.
And then is this... like the little
It does
fleas
look like
that run
grass.
around on... They're little fleas that run around on their feet. They at least had the animation quality for that. And then there's, like, the... This
Isn't a hair fight.
It's
been-
kind of like the lack of faces, too, at the beginning for me, where they're, like...
No one has any noses.
Well, that's the first thing to go when production quality goes down. Cut the nose, cut the budget on noses.
Cut the fingies, cut the noses, cut the toeses.
Okay,
cut the
wait, one more
eardrums.
time, just to watch the feet glide across the sand. Perfect. That was it. That's all I wanted to share with the class. Was how absolutely
That wasn't a
brutal
hair
that
fight.
was.
You said you're sharing the
Sorry,
hair
well,
fight
because
with
then
the class.
T started talking about the beach. All right, let me find hair fight because that
Yeah,
was
try to
also
find the hair
a nuisance.
Hair.
It looked like someone had. If you would have told me that this was really good stop motion, that I would have believed.
Don't
That's
insult stop
how,
motion like that.
that's
Don't
how I
insult
felt
it.
about it.
Stop motion's great.
I do love a good stop motion. So yeah, it's. I don't know. It's tough too because like I feel like in the manga, Uzumaki brought so much life to a still media, and then for it to be animated and have all of the life drained from it.
I have the next big Junji Ito idea. It just hit me. I'm a genius. Hear
Talk
me
to me.
out.
I'm in.
Claymation Tomy. I'm thinking Chicken Run-esque
Oh my
claymation.
You
gosh.
could playmate anything from Junji Ito, and I would be.
Black and white
in.
claymation Tomy. Let's go me.
And honestly,
Let's go,
they could do it in 5 years at least.
Claymation is a lot of work.
Yeah.
When you said
Can you imagine-
robot chicken style, I just imagine like Tomy, but she's a Barbie, and they like dyed her hair black and like cut her bangs really poorly.
Honestly, I'm here for it. I imagine though if quality went bad on a claymation, would they just be like lumps of clay for the rest?
No, you just like see the people's hands moving the clay around.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd watch that.
It's okay. Here, I've got some clips I'd like to show, and it's not the snails kissing, though I did find that.
Oh my gosh, please no.
No, I don't need to hear
Alright,
that again.
This is. Alright, hold on. I'm
Still
trying
a better love story than Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's see. I don't want to like share.
Sorry to Twilight fans out there. I apologize. I too was one at one point.
I enjoy Twilight in an ironic sense.
I can't get past the toxic relationship and her being a child, and I know he's like a teenager, but he's like a billion years old, and I have
Yeah.
a hard time getting past that.
I'm
So,
in a Twilight shitposting group on Facebook, and that's like that's one of the main things we talk about in there. It's a great time.
that checks out. But I
Alright.
I had a sweatshirt and everything. It was classy.
Alright, let me share with the class again. So, share screen.
If it's the slug snails, I'm gonna throw a tantrum.
Okay,
I don't know why I can't
Surprise!
remember what the name of this animal is. yeah.
so I wish that I could just share just this one thing, but unfortunately it's going to share my whole screen. So this is the manga, right? Like you can see, again, like it's not moving, but there is life built into this.
Yeah.
Like there's horror in their faces, like it's stunning.
She's tired.
This is
I'm so sorry.
this is what we got. This is
You know those
Ice.
candies, the strawberry ones that
Yes!
German company makes, the strawberry roll-ups? That's what these look like. They look
It
like those little
does.
strawberry candies.
this
Good for a claymation idea.
this would have been an excellent first draft.
Yes.
Like, if you just told me storyboard, I'm like, great, amazing work, storyboard. Like, this is unacceptable. Like,
Especially compared with... Because, like, this is what we got in the first episode. This is what we would have gotten.
no, I know, and that's what I mean. Like, this is something that I was like looking forward to. This scene is what I was after watching the first episode. I'm like, bring on the hair fight. Like, let's go.
I
And
was
then
in it for
like
the ear.
the fact that it was like flat and like kerchunking around. I'm like, first of all, it's hair. It's alive. It's like a spiral and everything. Again, movement, fluid, like spinning. But it was like, I think what did I text you? It was like they made their hair out of cardboard and was having like a cardboard hair fight.
That's what got me. It wasn't even, I guess, that the animation itself, that the drawing wasn't as detailed. I mean, that's upsetting,
Yeah.
obviously. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you said, like, it didn't move like hair. It moved like licorice candy. Like, clunk, clunk, clunk.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what I think was so upsetting about that specific scene, is not necessarily that they didn't draw it out as detailed, but that they didn't animate it with any detail either. They made
Yeah.
that in Microsoft Paint.
The emotions on the girls' faces too. If you look at the manga still again versus that, like there's so much going on in their faces in the manga still and in the crowd. And then just the shot of them underneath, it's so limited. You're not really getting the emotions, the energy from the animation version, which should be equal if not better because it's moving.
That's what I mean. That's what I say. Like the anime took the life out of something that was otherwise like a 2D like paper rendition. Like, which is honestly, if they'd have like played into it and they had put up like, you know how in manga they'll like add words to tell you like how things are moving.
Yeah.
If they'd have like put something up where it was like whoosh, like the whoosh noise and like if they'd have done that, I'd have been like, okay, this is media. Okay, all right, I'm into this. I'm into this. Okay, let's if they could have made it campy, like if they would like, all right, give us 3 more months, we're gonna like camp this up. I'd have been, it may be a different story. But the fact that it was the first episode was literal art, and the next 2 episodes were garbage, and the 4th episode, I still don't know if I got used to it. I don't know like what actually happened.
I know what happened. While we're on the topic of facial expressions, I do want to bring up one thing. The boyfriend's name, it's Shuichi, right?
Yes.
Or am I thinking of the video game I'm playing?
No, you're right.
Suichi, yeah.
Okay. So that poor boy, he looked so tired. The end of the 4th episode, his facial expressions carried the whole show, because every 10 minutes it would just pan to him having to save his girlfriend again, looking tired and just dead inside. He looked sleepy. All the work they could have done on anyone's facial expressions, they put all of it into the bags under this kid's eyes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
He earned it.
Whatever they had, was it the last episode or the 3rd episode? I don't remember. When they had the tornadoes, and he had to like jump up in the air and save Kiri and the reporter girl who came to town. And he just grabs them both, and then he's just holding the pole after the tornado goes by, and he's like,
on him. And me and my fiance were dying, because we were like, "Can someone get this kid a nap and a candy bar?" Like,
that kid deserved a beer at that point. Like,
so over the shit. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm like crying. I'm laughing so hard because I just the whole time was like, is anyone gonna talk about how just traumatized this one kid is out of everyone? Because meanwhile, the whole time she's just like, wow, this weird stuff keeps happening. This sucks, but well. And he's just aging rapidly, and she makes a comment.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. She makes a comment, like, right before the tornado scene where she's like, sorry, he's been so weird recently.
Yes!
And I was like,
I don't blame him.
Poor boy. He's going through saving this girl's life over and over. He hasn't slept in eons. Meanwhile, his girlfriend's like, sorry, he's weird.
Sorry, he's in a mood today. I know my camera, like, turned off, and we're gonna replace the battery.
That's how upset Valsaraptor is.
That's
what I chat.
I feel like with him, he was experiencing it the entire time. It started with his family. Like, he noticed things from the very beginning, and she was like, "What are you talking about, silly? Ha ha ha!" And then, like, it started to impact her. But by the time it started to really impact her, he had been going through it.
I don't know, though. Because, like, this is after...
Because he also had to, like, put his, dad in the ground, his mom's in the hospital.
Yeah,
like, he is going through it.
But she, like, jumped out of a burning lighthouse. Like, she got exploded out of there. Her cousin's over there just eating people. And she's still just like, sorry, he's a little stressed right now. Don't mind him.
Yeah.
She's over there feeding Slug Snail Boy, like, and she's like, it's fine.
Yeah. And the whole, like, the mosquitoes in the hospital and the, like, placenta mushrooms growing and everything, like...
They could have made that grosser, too, now that we're talking about it. that could have been. I mean, again, the media carries, but that could have been more gross.
Yeah,
Blech.
They could have really laid it on.
That's one thing I'm glad didn't get grosser. I'm glad that was toned down for my visual enjoyment.
17 pounds of placenta.
Especially like the one scene when they do figure out everything that's going on and they walk in and the cousin is in the bed and she's like obviously just been stapled up. Like that could have been
just
gorier.
Yeah, she just kind of jumped out like a little gremlin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was one moment, I can't remember when it was. I don't think it was in the hospital. I should have asked my fiance to remind me right before this. Because there was this one point in the show where all of a sudden someone, like, jumps at something, and they just went, like, ah! And I was, like, dying laughing, and I was like, I looked at him and went, did the writing get worse at some point? Did I miss where the writing also just, like, tanked? But I don't remember what it was. I just remember something jumping across the screen and it going, like, ah! And I was like,
was it? It was the guy that had the spring. Was it that one?
Yes.
And he was like,
that scene was so bad.
Yes,
oh my
it
god.
was the spring guy. It was.
I feel like
thank you.
that plays back into, like you said, with the writing. It plays back into how I kept getting lost. I was like, who is this spring guy? He's coming out of nowhere. Like they were already dealing with one thing. There was something happening, and then the spring guy comes randomly in, and then he's done. And that was, they were like, oh, that came from a car. Moving on.
That scene with the spring guy, also, first of all, it was very creepy in the manga, but seeing it, I'll put it in quotes, animated. But then there was a short of the, like, noise, there was also the noises that also happen. I'm like, what am I supposed to be feeling right now?
Comedy.
Like, should I
was dying laughing.
And T and I talked about it before, where it's like, when you're reading Junji's work, like, sometimes it is funny.
Mm-hmm,
It's also creepy, but I'm like, at this point, I don't, like, the bouncing, I don't know, but the sound effect got me, and I was like, that's not the vibe that I was expecting. That wasn't what I was expecting to feel in this moment.
Well, because in the manga, I feel like it's there to represent that basically the whole world is just like, it's all twisted. It's all topsy-turvy. Nothing makes sense anymore. Now we got car parts in people. We got people all twisted up in a row. Like, it's just supposed to, I think, display the, like, chaotic nature of this town now. But yeah, it did not come across that way when animated. That was rough.
No, and like I said, it was immediately following another threat. Oh, it was the creepy neighbor who was like watching Kiri through the hole in the row house, and he ends up getting stabbed in the head by like debris that's being thrown around by these hurricanes that they keep happening. And so that happens, and then immediately she hears something, looks over, and here comes Spring Guy. So it's like, the timing was really strange. The pacing, like we keep saying, the pacing and the timing of things is just like, why did you do that immediately after? The setup for it was non-existent.
Is her name Kiri?
It's like Kirie.
I just realized I called her Kyrie in the beginning of the episode, so I'm probably grounded now. The internet's gonna ground me.
I didn't notice. It up?
Thank you.
Is
it Kyrie or Kiri? Is it Kyrie?
I think it's Kiri.
I think it's Kiri. I'm trying to remember them screaming it in the show.
I feel like my mother-in-law at some point had a raccoon named Kyrie. Is that what you're thinking of? Is that what you're mixing up?
It was probably it was a mix of that and Kingdom Hearts. You know me.
I was
going to
say Kingdom
about
Hearts
raccoons
Kyrie.
and Kingdom Hearts. Stay tuned for Girls, Games, and Animes, where we talk about raccoons and Kingdom Hearts. Just kidding. I refuse to try to unpack Kingdom Hearts for the internet.
Don't have the airtime for that.
I don't have the spoons. I don't have the time. We'll stick with Ito.
Yeah. It makes me think of the Charlie Day meme where he's like trying to explain something in the post office area of the job that he's doing. He's like smoking.
I've just got sticky notes everywhere. And I'm like, Roxas isn't Roxas, but he's Roxas.
Not this episode, ladies. Another time, another day, another podcast, probably. I don't know
That would
that's
be
our...
Kingdom Hearts would be its own podcast.
That's its own thing. It makes about as much sense as Spring Guy, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. Spring Guy, I understood him on an emotional level.
Emotional.
There were springs, there were sound effects. I got it. I understood what was happening.
I can't tell you how many times we've messaged you and been like, how's your day today? And you've been like, boing.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
And we're like, relatable content, girl.
Relatable.
The most wonderful thing about Tiggers are wonderful things. Springing.
Yeah, so I don't. Was there anything else, I guess, that you guys noted in this that was good, bad, and different?
Question, because I don't remember if they explained it. It probably has no real explanation, much like many of these things. Why was the lighthouse catching people on fire? Why was it too hot? What does that have to do with spirals?
Oh, I don't remember because I looked it up too. Because I was like, "What do you?" Because it was one of those things where it happened so fast. I was like,
Was it killed for the sake of killing?
Maybe, because I briefly remember the scene. Because I read the manga forever ago. I have not read it recently. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember reading that scene and being like, why was the lighthouse so hot that it caught people on fire? But
I know it was hot because, instead of a light bulb, it was a spiral. I do remember that, but I don't know, to your point, why the spiral light bulb's intention was to burn.
Yeah, I don't know.
If there was a full explanation of that.
Probably not.
And also,
probably not.
Again,
it just didn't translate as well.
Another Kiri situation where she should have died and she didn't. The little boys that went in the lighthouse before her died. Her and her brother trip and they get caught up in the light and they don't die.
Lucky duckies. They were just barely out of reach, so it just knocked them out.
All right, let me read. So this is someone's Reddit post. I know episode 2 is overall a bad episode with horrible dips in the animation quality and lightspeed pacing. But I can't get over my frustration for how they treated the lighthouse story. This is one of my favorite stories from the manga and had hoped they would adapt it in the anime, but I don't think they could have butchered it any more than they did. There was no build-up, no shots of the lighthouse spewing its mysterious spiraling light that seemed to mesmerize people. Instead, you just immediately see people walking in circles with the explanation of the lighthouse is making them crazy, instead of the light.
That's how they said it.
Instead of the light being burned into their eyes. When it finally shows the lighthouse at the end of the episode, holy fuck. What were they thinking? It's just normal light coming from the lighthouse. Okay. Why? The manga made it look so foreboding and threatening. This dark lighthouse in the distance that violently spews light like fire. I have no desire to keep watching more of this train wreck. The only thing keeping me coming back is the music, which...
That's fair. Can we credit that Redditor? Because
Yeah. So this goes out to Pepsi Drinker 81 on Reddit.
Thank you, Pepsi Drinker 81, for the explanation.
Pepsi Drinker 81! Thanks for the recap.
But that does make sense. And that
because I was like, I don't remember that in the manga, and that's why, because it was a totally, the lighthouse had different lore.
I was going to say, that's a totally different story.
That would have been so cool. That would have been really fucking cool.
And it's true, because I was paying attention, but at the same time, I didn't connect the people walking in circles to the lighthouse, because in the manga, it is spelled out more clearly. I mean, I'm not saying that I have a low reading level or anything, but my comprehension's pretty good. And I didn't put that together.
Wow. No, yeah, I just thought they were walking. I just thought it was a continuation of the spirals are making everyone crazy.
All right, they're turning people into slugs for no reason, so now they're walking in circles for no reason.
Slug snails, thank you.
Yeah,
Speaking of, when she sent her poor brother, her little snail brother, down the side of the cliff, and she's like, I'll come back for you, just go. And I was like, we're never seeing him ever again, bye.
Yeah, so takeaway, was he the only real survivor?
No, I don't think.
No, I like to think he just slugged away into the sunset.
Maybe.
He was the only one who survived the town.
It-
He just slugged away, snailed away, snailed.
On the topic of the people that were apparently laser beamed by the flame lighthouse, I remember watching the second episode, emotionally preparing for the degradation in production quality, and there's the scene where the old lady is like, I've been headed to the grocery store for 30 minutes and I haven't gotten there yet.
Same.
But like her walking in the circle, like again, if this is like a repetitive animation, like they should be able to just like cycle it to save whatever.
Yeah.
But this woman was like float moonwalking in a circle. Do you guys
Isn't that how
remember?
30-minute walk to the...
Like we watched them float across the beach, but like I also watched her do that in the middle of the street, like in a circle.
Oh no,
on
I didn't
repeat.
notice that.
It's hard to say how far into the episode was it? How far into the game was I? Cause
I feel like this was pretty early on, so it might have been something where it's like I wasn't taking notes just yet. I just remember being like, "Oh no!"
yeah, was I fully prepared, or was I just still sitting there in shock at what I was experiencing?
And not
Let
a good
me-
shock.
No.
I don't know if we talked about this, Doki, but T and I, after the first episode, we unfortunately didn't record our reactions, but I had read that if you listen to the ending sequence with headphones on, they recorded it in a way that makes it sound like the audio is traveling around your head.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
It is very cool.
Did
You
not watch
should-
it that way, but I
Okay, hold on,
because
let
I'm
me-
gonna rewatch the first and then the fourth. You know, I have headphones on right now.
Wait, I wonder if I play it and if I can share the audio on here, if we can get your live reaction to it.
Try
It's
going
just
to
gonna be a lot of me like,
That's what I did. I screamed.
no, you didn't.
I did. I was like,
Actually, you know what? I believe
Yeah.
you. That's not a scream. You didn't kaboing.
I didn't kaboing. I mean, I
Boing, boing, boing,
didn't
boing.
spring off into the sunset or anything.
All right, let me know if you guys can hear when I start playing it.
道場地道場地つってからから道場地道場地上で渦が巻くやら
It doesn't sound as obvious with that recording as it did with
Like
the one that I heard.
Was
it gets worse than that.
And maybe it's because I'm sharing it versus
Maybe.
like it.
Yeah,
Like you
being
watching it
live.
yourself?
I still definitely caught movement
Yeah.
in the sound.
I could
for
hear it,
sure.
but when I watched it, I brought up the episode on Adult Swim and played it that way. And I like threw my own headphones through my own computer, and it was much more obvious. Like boop boop boop.
But imagine that. Imagine you're like watching the first episode on your computer or wherever you're watching it with headphones on. You get through this like really well animated first episode, and like it's creepy and it's horror, and then this ending credit comes on and it just is spiraling around your head, and I'm like, that is the energy, and I'm like, yes, this is what we deserve. And then like like
So I'm gonna start reacting to things. Someone's gonna tell me who like their anime crushes. I'm like, boing.
I'm gonna text like something bad happens. I'm just gonna text you guys sad boy yo 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 yo.
Are there little spring emojis that we can start sending to each other?
I'm gonna definitely find out. Maybe I can make my own. I'm gonna protest to whoever I use for my phone. Sponsor me, Apple. To get a spring emoji.
There's tornadoes. There's
That's
leaves
almost it.
kinda-
Leaves,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing everything. When I typed in spring,
fish
it's all
cake.
like
It's a
Fish
spiral,
cake is a
right?
spiral, not a spring. I understand your confusion, but you can't drive a car with a fish cake, probably. Are there even actually springs in cars? I don't know anything about
Oh,
They're
there's
only
like a-
on the
that's
bottoms
a
of people.
there's like a spiral, like an actual, like
What's this
Can I copy
human
that?
spring doing in my car?
Guys, imagine if what's her face with the eye spiral? Imagine if she was in any other episode except for the first one.
right. That would've been devastating.
big gap right here, and it's just, imagine someone, like, being spiraled into her brain.
Yeah, or like they don't animate the spiral. It's like they took the spirals out of the lighthouse. They take the spiral out of her like eye sinking into her face, and it's just like a void where her eye slowly like moves backward into it, but like really literally like every few seconds it just is farther back.
Kind of like how the Eye of the Storm was, but like in her head.
Oh, big yikes!
Because that wasn't like you could still kind of see a spiral in the Eye of the Storm, but it wasn't very bold, I would say. It was like I remember looking at it multiple times, and they didn't linger on it long enough at certain points where I was like, oh yeah, there's a spiral in there. I was like literally leaning forward at the screen like, wait, come back, I need to see it again.
I can't wait for Claymation Tomy. It's gonna be like,
do we have to start like a GoFundMe for this, or like
get
what
a
do we
Kickstarter going for?
We'll do a Kickstarter for some. We'll have the guy who does Over the Garden Wall. He's into claymation now. What if we raise a bunch of money and have him do claymation, like live action, whatever, Tomy?
I was really hoping for the producers of Chicken Run, but I might be willing to make an exception.
I learned recently the way that they did the stop motion in The Corpse Bride was a different way than traditional animation, than different claymation stop motion is done.
Oh, really?
It was something called like spring something.
Boing.
Yeah. I almost said spring lock or like spring trap, and I'm like, is that the Five Nights at Freddy's brain rot kicking in?
I was gonna say that is Five Nights at Freddy's. I know that character. Wrong horror genre.
But it was spring something. Reactions. I do remember it was like spring turn or spring key, I want to say, compared to the normal way that they would do it.
I could go for a Corpse Bride Tomy, although Chicken Run would have been funnier, but Corpse Bride would definitely be better.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do that, it'd be great.
I would take even like they do a scene from Tomy, like they don't have to do the whole thing, but just give me a good solid scene in stop motion. I would like that.
I'm not
trying
giving
to
up on
think if
clay.
I can like what scene
become
I
a
would
claymation
want.
artist.
It would have to be one of the scenes where there's not like 100 Tomys crawling around, because that would be like, then we're gonna have to wait 5 years, then like yada yada yada.
What's the one in the beginning where she just falls down the hill? Like right at the beginning of, you know what I'm talking about? And she just plop, 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 plop. That'd be a great claymation scene. Maybe not stop motion, but great claymation. I'm not giving up on my Chicken Run production.
Do you want them to still have the British accents too?
Nar,
Tomy.
No,
I did not even try to make an accent. I just said nar.
I don't even want them to be chickens. I just want you to look at it and go, the people.
the guys who did Chicken Run did this.
Definitely made this.
The mouth that's like out to here, just full of teeth.
Yeah.
No. Why?
That's my son's new thing. I don't know where he picked it up. He'll like look at me and go, "Mama," or like, can you not do that? That's
Oh my
random and very
gosh.
creepy."
It's giving creepy Chicken Run.
Is this a sequel? Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget?
Yes. We're getting a Chicken Run 2. That's a whole nother episode. I'll do a Chicken Run 2 response video.
It's
Chicken
just
Run
you.
2,
You're just
the
here
animation.
yourself talking about Chicken Run.
By myself.
You got like a whiteboard behind you to explain.
Love who you love what you love.
You know?
I'm sitting here thinking about the feasibility of like a Chicken Run producer like putting together a live, like a stop motion of Tomy, and I'm like, no, it'd be too cute if they did it. Like I'm in my head like rationalizing like as though it were
No,
like a full option. It'd be too cute if they did. Just like little Tomy with like little round cheeks, all like cute, like some little rounded teefies.
Cute can be creepy. Cute is creepy. The cuter something is, and then it does something bad, the more horrifying it is, because your brain doesn't like the juxtaposition of cute and creepy. So I can get behind an overly cute. Plus, that's like Tomy's shtick, is that she's like, I'm adorable. That's her whole thing. So the cuter she is, the more effective anyways. Until
That's
she's
true.
not.
I'm
She's
looking
real
at
cute
this.
till she isn't.
I'm looking at the stop motion because it's not claymation; it's just stop motion for the
Yeah.
Over the Garden Wall, and
Yeah.
their eyes are pretty lifeless. Respectfully. Like,
No.
like I'm looking at a still of it, so obviously they're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, it needs to be clay. It can't just be
It has
any
to be.
old.
It has to be clay, because again, then if money goes out the door, we get little blobs of little mutant clay blobs and little hands in the background. I need to go back to school for claymation right now.
Well, I mean, there is that whole scene where, like, I mean, there's a lot of melting, I feel like, in Tomy, too, so that it really lends itself to the media.
It really does.
Yeah, no, alright, I'm sold. Yeah, why not?
You're welcome.
Count me in.
Someone go out there
Count
and
me
make
in.
that.
All of our devout followers.
All of them.
Rise up.
All 3 of you in Russia. Put your hands together. Put all of your energy into this. Please.
Like the spirit bomb in Dragon Ball Z. Hold your hands up and animate.
It was claymation.
Yoing.
I'm gonna.
Is that
leave
old yet?
this. No, never. I'm gonna leave this, and my fiance is gonna be like, "Weren't you guys talking about Uzumaki?" And be like, "Oh yeah, totally." He's like, "What was with all the boyo-yoing and sounds?"
And
You were
he
there,
responded,
you
I thought
watched
you
it."
watched it.
Wow. You remember Spring Guy?
Everybody loves Spring Guy.
That's my
We'll have
favorite
him as
sitcom.
a guest on the show.
We'll make shirts
Please
with him
welcome
on it that say
Spring
"Boy, yo, 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 yo."
Guy.
It's got our logo on it.
Great, it did their video goes.
Once I get my Stream Deck set up, I'm audio. Write that down, T, as in my list of audios that I've sworn to load into my Stream Deck one day. I want the
boing-yoing.
Spring Guy boing
Boing.
noise.
How do you spell boy yo 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 yoing?
BOING.
Sound it out.
So I have a request. Once you get that Steam Deck and you load that sound in, every time you introduce me, and you're like, I have my co-host T and DokiDokiBunBun. Can the spring sound happen? Like you say bun bun, and then we get a boyo-yoing, like. You know,
I feel
yeah,
like
so,
that
like-
fits because bunnies make a bunnies bounce.
bunnies make spring sounds.
Oh, wait, are we picking walk-on noises for the podcast now?
Forget intros, walk-on noises all the way. They're fast.
I play the
efficient.
"That's My Girl" and it's like Valsaraptor, and then it's like boing DokiDokiBunBun, and then
Get your own sounds. I already claimed boyo-yoing.
Oh, it was the sound leading up to the name
Oh, I see.
because
You
it's
think an
a
intro.
walk on. Yeah.
It's a warning.
Everyone's like, "Oh God, I heard the spring. Get out of this episode. Bun Bun's on it."
Wait, T, what would your sound be?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
I
I gotta think about it.
Yeah, I feel like you've got like a signature, something that we've teased you about before, but in this moment, I don't remember
Yeah.
anything that's ever happened to me in my entire life. So.
No, I don't either.
For years, it's obviously someone checking someone out for egg sandos at a 7-Eleven. Your egg sando will be $1.25.
All right, wait, T, you can have the "That's My Girl" from Howls, and then I'll just have audio of a Family Mart door opening.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It has to be egg sando related. There's no other options for you.
Fine. I'll have the Family Mart noise. That'll be mine. T will have
You're welcome.
"It's My Girl," and then you'll have the boing.
I don't know why, but I kind of want the "She doesn't even go here" from Mean Girls.
It's my favorite anime.
Instead
Oh
of
my
like
gosh.
the "I'm Valsaraptor and I love," now we're just gonna have like new walk-on sounds for whenever we have new episodes.
Follow
We'll
question.
we'll change every season.
Yeah.
Does that mean, since we don't have the Steam Deck yet, from now on we have to do our own sound effect?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
you'll, like,
definitely
get really
don't
good
have
at
the Steam
beatboxing.
Deck yet.
So I'll
it's
be like,
definitely not because I've
"Boy,
had it for
DokiDokiBunBun."
8 months and haven't been using it this whole time.
Hey, I tried the cover for you just now. You outed yourself. Boy,
Oh, Valsaraptor, one time, yours should be, you should say, like, hi, I'm Valsaraptor, and then it just cuts to Sam from Dropout going, I've been here the whole time.
The possibilities are endless, really.
I'm afraid. This is scarier than the third episode of Uzumaki.
It's true.
Junji Ito.
Yeah, was that of Junji Ito?
I found out that he was originally a dentist and has, like, his PhD in dentistry.
T, first of all, I told you this. Second of all, did you read the cat one? Because it's in the cat one as an interview.
No,
and
I
forget
need to.
that I told.
Again, did not. I forgot you did tell
just
me
found
that.
out. I told you that.
I have
like
to.
We
I have
talked
to
about
send you
this
the,
in the last
TikTok
Junji
that I
Ito
found.
episode. I'm
Oh
like,
my
I'm
gosh.
gonna go listen to it because I'm like, wait, did I not tell her that? Like, I'm pretty sure I
You probably
did.
did, and it just I
Okay.
saw a post on TikTok where he's in a like it's explaining that he used to be a PhD dentist, blah blah blah. But then the next slide is him, and there's like a spiral ceiling above him, and it's like the angle is you looking up at him. So there's the spiral ceiling, and there's adorable little Junji Ito like, I'm gonna
Precious
clean your
angel.
teeth now.
Oh my gosh. And because I know you got the cat manga as well.
Yeah.
In that they have a bunch of like interview questions, like someone interviews him, and I think those are like kind of like baked into it, or they're at the end of something, and they talk about
neat.
how he was a dentist, or worked at a dentist's office, whatever. But then also how he's like the treasurer for like his local community, something or another.
Yes, you did tell me that. I remember that.
Precious.
Okay, so she remembers that one, but she doesn't remember the dentist, right? I'm just kidding. Yeah, so the interviews, those are always like, I enjoyed the manga, and like as a cat owner, it's too real. But the interviews were always cool because again, Junji Ito's just like such a pure like human being. His brain is a powerful weapon. But
Horrifying
he
place to be.
yeah, but he himself is just like sweet, precious. Like I just love watching the videos of him like watch something scary and he goes, "Ooh, too scary."
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Like,
he
sir,
draws like
have you consumed your
horrifying
media
stuff.
ever?
Yeah.
There was a clip of him on, I think it was Viz on their TikTok, and he comes on and he goes, "Hi, I'm Junji Ito. Tell me something scary." And then he like sits there and nods his head like he's listening, and he goes, "Try again. That could be scarier." And then he does the same thing and he goes, "Oh, that was very scary." It was so cute.
Protect at all costs.
Again,
love
I
that-
could not believe he's in his 60s. I was like, "You sure?"
Wow.
Yeah, I thought he was like a little older than us, you know, maybe in his 40s. He's in his 60s.
I love the video. I don't know where it came out or what it was in reference to. I just saw it on TikTok, and I remember that it's a little clip of him like giggling, like truly giggling, because he's like, I guess people expect me to be scary because my work is scary. And he's just giggling about it because he's like, I guess I catch people off guard.
Sweet potato.
I love when they like
adorable.
put cat ears on him and he's like, yeah.
His final form.
Truly.
Trying to think of like other fun facts that we didn't cover in the last episode. Like I remember that I also told UT that like his sister and mom used to do like the color blocking on his panels for
Yes.
him, and then once he got married, like his wife started doing it, and how he hated that how she hated that he gave her a bowl cut in the cat manga.
That's hilarious.
This one says that like there's another Junji Ito thing where like basically people's heads turn into balloons, and he said that that was
Yeah.
like a
Oh, yeah.
direct dream that he had.
What a horrifying dream.
Oh wait, it says so it was monthly Halloween magazine is where like his original stuff was posted. Tomy was serialized that way. The concept for Tomy was born after Ito experienced the death of one of his classmates.
Oh.
Feeling confused and dejected about the boy's sudden departure from the world. As a result of living through this traumatic experience, he came up with the character of Tomy, a seemingly immortal girl who was supposed to be dead but returns to the world of the living as if nothing had occurred.
was gonna ask, did he ever put anything not scary out? Does something not scary of his exist? Or has he just always only done horror?
Is the cat one technically scary?
It's technically still a horror,
Yeah.
like in the style, and stuff. I mean, it's gross. I mean, they're like literally throwing poop around.
There's nothing scarier than poop and springs. We all know this to be true.
Yeah.
His wife is a picture book artist, and they have 2 daughters.
Precious.
I don't know that he's ever done non-scary stuff. I know he's like illustrated for other folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, the closest that like people are getting to is the cat one. This one says like, even though they're a bit scary, Soichi stories are really funny. Soichi is still like, I don't know. I mean, it's still kind of horror-y because it's like spooky and all that stuff. But it's one of the few, I think, mangas where there's like the main character is an antagonist, right?
Assuming we don't mean Suichi, the guy with giant bags under his eyes.
Yeah, not
in
Suichi,
Uzumaki.
Soichi.
I see.
He's designed Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah.
He did a secret lair drop, secret lair drop with him as the special guest. And then he did Pyrexia, All Will Be One, and then a special promotion for hand-signed Elish Norn. I'm probably saying that very wrong. Please forgive me, Magic the Gathering fans. My husband is somewhere screaming down the stairs at me.
They never forgive, they never forget.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Magic players remember.
They...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the art on those Magic the Gathering cards, like, it is very obvious that it is Junji Ito artwork. Like, it is simply...
So that's the only non-horror he's put out, is Magic cards.
Arguably horrifying.
Oh, hold tight. I was just looking at the adaptations list.
Okay.
At the very bottom, so Uzumaki is there, 2024. Underneath of that, Blood-Sucking Darkness, TBD.
That's the horror.
Are you just saying that, like, new work is coming out, or were you implying that
yeah.
that was a comedy drama?
Comedy.
Comedy.
That's obviously a rom-com. It's the sequel. It's the next iteration of Twilight.
Yeah.
I thought you said that was the slugs, the snails, and Uzumaki. They were
Slug snails.
Slug snails.
No, I said that was the worst BL I've ever read.
But you said it was a better love story than Twilight, right?
I did say that. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You got me there. I don't even remember what I say.
But I mean, I guess it's, again, all not surprising that he sticks to the horror, just because, I mean, his whole art style kind of lends itself to that.
To it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There
with
was
what you're good
the Hello Kitty Tomy, like, mashup. Does that count?
Oh, yeah, that was very cutie. I like that a lot.
So cute.
So mad that it happened, like, the week after we left Japan.
Right after we left, I was furious.
I was, like, winding it up.
At yourself.
Can't do it still.
Yeah, my poor timing. Just
So
kidding.
mad.
I vacation whenever I can. Whatever I'm allowed to.
Right.
Truly. Relatable.
Yeah. But any closing remarks? So I guess for those who are still here after an hour and 15 minutes, if you haven't watched Uzumaki, DM Doki for her drinking game and take the time to watch it, because Junji Ito deserves any sort of accolades he can get. If you're into manga, obviously read the manga, skip the anime. If you're only into anime, give it a shot, and hopefully it entices you to want to read the manga. And before T has the chance to plug it, go to your public libraries. If you cannot afford to buy manga, don't buy the manga. Go to your public libraries, get what's accessible to you. do it that way. We're always at the end of every episode. We're like, yeah, go to your local public library, do it, get free books.
You can get real far with that library card.
That'll be T sound.
Get real far with that library card. That's okay. I've been sitting here this whole time thinking that about how if you play the drinking game, you can only drink gin because it's Junji Ito.
I also suggest maybe taking the next day off of work because you will probably have the worst hangover of your life if you play by the take a shot when you see a spiral.
Yeah, maybe never. No one should ever actually play a drinking game that I create.
Wait, guys, what if we had like a Junji Ito themed party and everyone had to bring like a Junji Ito themed drink, and we only watched like all of the horrible adaptations from his media, and we played drinking games while like drinking our Junji Ito themed beverages.
So much gin. Let's do it. I'm in. Let's go. Watch party.
Ito.
Junji Ito.
No, because I mean, like, you can come up with like names based on the.
No.
Okay.
Only gin.
All right.
Tommy's Tequila Sunrise.
Soichi's Soju?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, Kiri. There's like Kira and Ichiban, the beer.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
See, we got this. We got this.
That's for lazy drink makers.
Wait, should we do a TikTok series on Junji Ito themed beverages that we just came up with? Drop in the comments your new creative ideas for Junji Ito themed drinks.
Yeah.
Thanks for following. Thanks for listening.
And always drink responsibly and legally.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't be
drink and
underage.
be yoing. Or if you drink and drive, you're gonna get be yoing.
You're gonna get a
So remember to smash that subscribe button, like and follow us.
Anyway, transitioning with the boing.
Hop on over to our TikTok and give us a follow.
Go ahead and boing that subscribe button.
Boing over to TikTok and subscribe. While you drink your Tomei's tequila sunrise.
Tequila.
But yeah, this has been Girls Gaze Anime's takes on Uzumaki's anime, manga, and other Junji Ito antics, plus or minus some. What did you guys talk about earlier that I was like totally zoned out of?
Kingdom Hearts.
Claymation.
Oh yeah,
Chicken Run.
Today's episode is brought to you by Chicken Run. Thanks for joining us. And bye.
Bye.